Very good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of IPMA and UCL, it's a pleasure here to welcome Mr. Nadhmi Al-Nasr from NEOM, the CEO of NEOM. It's an absolute pleasure to be hosting this session in London from UCL. We are very much looking forward to hearing some insights from what it is, the world's largest infrastructure project. Mr. Nadhmi, a pleasure to welcome you, and over to you for a brilliant keynote.
Thank you so much. I'm very delighted and honored really to speak to you here physically in this room and many others in virtual space. When I was invited to come and share with you this 1 hour discussion, as much as I am extremely busy and overwhelmed with what I do, I said yes on the spot because I love to speak about projects. That's an area where I grew up into it and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. Plus, I love to speak in universities. I think it's where knowledge starts and where knowledge is spread. So today I'm going to really chat with you about project management, specifically for infrastructure projects and mega and giga projects and how these are managed. So as you all know, I am the CEO of NEOM, and I'm assuming you've heard of NEOM, and I will speak about it a little, but maybe more than honored and happy later to hear your questions, and I can share with you my knowledge here in my tent. So I would like to start maybe with a video that shows, that gives you glimpses of what NEOM is. Ron, if you can put this.
Since the beginning, we've changed things. It's in our genes. It's what makes us human. Now we have a chance to change everything. Let's change water so it flows forever, energy so it powers our lives sustainably, and mobility so cities become playgrounds. Let's change the way we feed the world, designed to live with nature, and create factories that make the future better. Let's change learning so it's lifelong. Technology so it predicts our needs. And let's help prevent more illness that we need to cure. Let's change the way we think about money, how we explore the world around us, and how experiences come to life. This is where we can change it all. NEOM, made to change.
Usually films and videos, when they speak about anything, of course, it takes you up to the sky. I mean, you would enjoy what it says, and this is just another one describing and explaining NEOM in short. I think the difference between what we are using as a film to speak and many films used to speak about other visions is what you've seen is very close to what we are building, what we are doing, what we are executing, what we are presenting to the world. And here I would like to start with NEOM vision. And again, everything we do in life, whether it's projects or initiative, it should have its own vision. And the vision should speak about what this whole thing about. So allow me to read the vision statement. And the reason I say we read, because this is not just a typical vision statement. And as you read through with me loudly, it says, NEOM is the land of the future. And I stop there. It's basically, you've heard in the movie, in the film, prediction of many sectors and how NEOM is addressing them one by one. How can the water be sustainable? How can food? How can health? How education can change? And the film ends up with "We are made to change," and it is all about changes. So it is the land of the future, where the greatest minds and talents are empowered. And here it didn't say the Arab talents or the Saudi talents or the British talents. It says where the greatest minds and talents are empowered to embody pioneering ideas. It's all about dreaming these ideas and exceed boundaries in a world inspired by imagination. Well, that's what we do every day. Isn't it fun to be part of something to have this vision comes through? Of course, it will be decades before this vision comes through. But that's the environment we live every day. We are talents coming from all over the world. Actually, NEOM today has 106 nationalities. Name a country, there's a talent there. And when I say talent, experts, people, energy, renewable energy experts in the world are there to build the most sustainable renewable energy on earth. And how can it be sustainable? Because the world cannot continue burn oil I'm talking, from Saudi Arabia, oil, but other ways of, and you would even hear today in Saudi Arabia a lot of references to renewable energy because we believe the future is going to be renewable energy. And then we talk about greatest minds and talents coming from all over the world, but empowered with pioneering ideas. The name of the game is there are ideas and thoughts and dreams of what each of these sectors should be. But we want them to exceed boundaries in a world inspired by imagination. We encourage people to imagine what the future should be. And hopefully we can enable people to do that. So I can sit here and spend the whole day talking about the vision statement of NEOM, but we love it. We, meaning the 5,000 employees we have in NEOM today, coming from 106 countries, and I'm sure all your people from your country are in NEOM. They are inspired and they are challenged to change because we believe the world today, in many aspects, cannot sustain the future decades and centuries if we continue this way. And you would hear maybe later in the presentation how we're addressing livability. And this is how the Lion project came up, because we believe that humanity cannot continue expanding cities like London, which I love a lot, because in 300-400 years, I mean, here is 10 million people. If this is to grow with another 2, 3, 4 million, how far it can go and how clean it can go. So this is what NEOM is all about. So in physical, NEOM is 26,500 square kilometer. So it's not a small land. I mean, there are countries and it's much smaller that are this size and less. Almost the size of Belgium. And we refer to it because that's almost the size of Belgium. And it is building an economy. So it's not just an area we're developing. NEOM model is to establish a place where it's going to have around 14 to 16 sectors, food, energy, water, education, all of this, together, integrated, will end up creating an economy that is reliant on these sectors. So we're not just building a place, we are creating an economy. And that economy is going to be part of Saudi Arabia, but having its own rules and regulation. Rules and regulation that's going to encourage investors to come there and build, benefit, and also be part of creating these sectors. Many, if not all, the sectors as we develop them are targeted to do what will be the future. So if I say food, no, we're not there planting food and selling food. It is what is the future food? What will be the future of food in the world? How will it be planted? How should it be? What should be the water and what should be all of that? These are the sectors we have. And as you can see, it is design and construction, meaning how should the design and construction of the future be? Technology and digital, tourism, energy, media, entertainment, manufacturing, mobility, financial services, health and well-being, food, education, and sports. So you take health, for example. Each of these sectors has a strategy done. We spent many years on each. And when I say many years, I'm talking about 3 years minimum. We spent doing nothing but putting together the strategy of each. Our leader, who is our chairman of the board, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is the chairman of the board of NEOM. He spent the nights and days with us reviewing every strategy. Some were approved and some were kicked out, and we have to go back. So it was a hell of an exercise. And so you take health and well-being, for example. Their target and their future view is how health and well-being will be in 100 years from today. How should it be? One of these targets in this sector is to increase the life of a human being by 10 years minimum. How can that be? What should that be? What will that necessitate us? The type of food we should eat, what energy, what environment. And the head of that health and well-being understand that this is his mission, him and his team. They study, they work with different instrumentative institutions, and we look into it, and hopefully we believe in years to come we will have a full health and well-being sector that will apply what we believe will increase human ages by minimum of 10 years. And we are very confident that will be the outcome of that. And I can also spend the whole day going through each sector, but these sectors collectively create the economy of NEOM. So we also have, in addition to sectors, we have regions. This is the map of NEOM. And you see here, we have islands, and we have almost, we are, as we speak, developing 16 islands. And these islands are in the middle of the Red Sea, and some of you may have seen the Red Sea. Red Sea is a very special sea. It's the most pristine sea that is left in the world. It has not been spoiled by many industry and everything. And our mission in NEOM is to make sure that Red Sea stays protected, working with the countries around the Red Sea. And for that, we are developing islands, but we are doing it in a way where we can contain and protect everything in that sea. Coral reef is the famous trademark of the Red Sea. We are there to protect it. Actually, we are there to increase the coral reef. One of the projects we have under the islands is how can we plant and produce and distribute coral reef to the world so they can replace what's dead to the new coral reef. That is a small project coming out of a project like Sindala. And Sindala is actually we call it what do we call it? The crown jewel of the Red Sea, because it is one of the most beautiful island in the world. It is meant to be opened, hopefully in October, November of the end of the year, of this year. I am inviting you to basically buy your ticket, get you to fly to NEOM, go to this island and the Red Sea, and you will see the beauty that has never been seen before. The Red Sea and the island. That's our job in NEOM. We're developing islands, but in a very protective way where we protect the sea and also produce beauty that is protected. We have Oxagon, and it is the south of NEOM. That's where we have our industrial city. That's where the outcome of the sectors will go for industry, and the industry is not going to be the normal industry. It's going to be the future industry that is done completely clean out of anything that is going to pollute the water or the air. So it's very well protected. It's all renewable energy. Nothing is allowed there other than that. And it's going to produce, hopefully, manufactured clean products. We have Magna, which is the Gulf of Aqaba, the Magna there. It's a development we are working on today. It is going to be 140 kilometers. That is gated community. Never ever like this before. It's gated because it's extremely, extremely beautiful. That Gulf of Aqaba is a piece of the Red Sea that makes it very well protected. Again, we want to develop things there, but we want to protect. We are being watched not by our board only, but by our chairman of the board. And if any violation of environmental act during construction, it's bad news. Nobody's going to forgive them. So we are being watched by airplanes and satellites, and we cannot hide. So it's there. But it's a beautiful region, and it's being built as we speak. You may have noticed in the last few months, every 6 weeks, there's an announcement of pieces of Magna. Then we have Trojena. And Trojena is very unique because it's in the mountain. It's at a height of around 3,000 meter high. Guess what? It snows 3 months in the year. That's why we are within that project. We are building a skiing resort in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be a very attractive area for people from all over the world to decide whether they want to ski in Switzerland, Italy, and many other countries. And we are adding Trojena to this competition. So toward 29, 2030, we should be finished. It's now under construction. And if you go there now, we are redesigning the mountains because, among other things, we are building a lake. We are creating a lake. It's 3 kilometers long and less than a kilometer wide. And in a few years, there will be a lake in the mountain. And then all the investments is around the lake, just as if this lake was there for all the time. So this is NEOM, the land, and I want to end with the line. I'm sure you guys must have keep hearing the line. It's basically the response to our studies that urban planning and livability worldwide for many centuries to come is not sustainable. And if it is sustainable, it's not healthy. We look at all of the cities, and we cannot go horizontal. The world cannot expand horizontally, because if we are, we will need lands and lands and lands, and the mobility in these cities, such as New York, if I were to give it as an example, you can feel the quality of life in Manhattan, and that's not what we think the world can sustain. So we came up with this solution, and it is a vertical city rather than horizontal. So we will be living in vertical levels. Actually, the width of the line is only 200 meters. So, and the length is 170. You can walk in the line within 5 minutes to reach anything anybody needs to live. And the verticality is to minimize using of land. So that's what the line is. What you are looking at there is the line from within. There is nature in the line. There's parks in the line. There is livability. There is sea. There is everything. And you step yourself out of that line, you are in the nature reserve area. And NEOM, the first biggest decision we made is 95% of NEOM is untouchable. 95%. So everything you see in these slides to develop only has 5% of land. And the line is among those 5%. So we will be developing all these regions, including the line, to house 9 million people within 5% of NEOM. And the line is little percent of the 5%. And let me just make a quick comparison. London is, let's say, 9 million people, maybe around 9 million. And it is 1,800 square kilometers, around that. Well, the line will house 9 million people, but it is only 34 kilometers square. And it is utilization of land is going to change. So this all takes us back to what is the future? Not in Saudi Arabia, not in NEOM, but worldwide. In the many hundred years to come, when we believed and concluded it is threatened because continuously it cannot, the line to us is the answer. So in short, that's what the line is all about. This is a shot for Sindala Island, which is going to open before the end of the year. It's a small island, 1 kilometer square. What you see is almost, is this live? Huh? Last month. And you see a green area there, that's a golf course. So within a small island, we built a golf course because we felt, I mean, that's the best thing to do in an island is enjoy it, enjoy the life, and enjoy playing golf. And hopefully by the end of the year, this island will be the first island we open to the world. Next. This is the construction of the line as we speak. If you fly over it with a helicopter, you will look down, there are thousands of equipment and thousands of people who are working day and night. It's a 24-hour construction project. This is the line again. This is Oxagon. I may have mentioned to you, this is a board. We are building the board. Actually, it's up and running because we are expanding it. This is where the industry will happen, and that's where industry board out is in. This is all part of the board. This is Trojena, right? This is the mountain. This is where we are building our skiing resort and you know, houses, and it's basically a summer and winter place and an extension again. So in numbers today, as we speak, we have 140,000 construction workers working. We have 2,300 equipment and machine. We have already bought 1 billion cubic meter of concrete. And by the time we are on 2030, this will be multiplied by 10. We have finished putting 6,300 piles in the ground to build the line on. We have 15,000 construction equipment. We are 24/7 operation in NEOM. It's the whole city, as they say, city that doesn't go to sleep. We have 6,000 trucks, and this number will be multiplied by 2 in 5 years to come. So it's a huge operation and a huge construction. So life in NEOM today is what you see in these pictures. We built a community, temporary, of course, for many years to come before we move to the line. And what you are looking at is how it is every day. Parents, kids, people, diners. This whole area we are living in, we call it our community, and it is our testing lab. Everything happening there where we live is how we see the future. So this is all renewable energy, no cars, nothing. We walk from our rooms into the office and back. So we're getting ourselves trained into what we think the future is. So Ron says we end with a video. Maybe. How much? No worries. No. We'll end with this. Okay. Okay. I believe one of the main reasons I'm here today is to share with you how this whole thing is managed. How the largest project ever in history, ever, which is under execution now. How do we manage this? And we are just in the beginning. What you saw is a 3-year work. This project is a 30 years program. 30 years non-stop. By 2050 or 55, we would be announcing NEOM is finished. So we're just starting, and the numbers I showed you is humongous, Already we have 140,000 laborers, tons of thousands of equipment, schedules tight. We are on a mission to deliver. And if I were to explain what it takes, it's these 3 words. And this is what I tell my people. Every 2 weeks, we have a batch of newcomers joining the project. And I speak to them in 20 minutes or so. And I use these 3 words. I put this slide, and that's all I say. I say what it takes to be resilient, to be part of a team that's on a mission to build what sounds like a mission impossible. First of all, I don't believe there is any mission that's impossible. We can make impossible possible, regardless. So in my own experience, what it takes is a team, individually and grouply, are totally passionate about what they are doing. So I'm saying it's passion, pure passion, powerful passion, that everyone in the team has to have. Otherwise, we tell him or her, I speak to my people and I tell those that I say, you are not passionate enough. You will be torturing yourself if you continue with this, because you can't sustain this. So you need to be passionate about what you do, and then the rest can happen. But passion only does not also take you through. You also need to be fully committed. And I'm not reading dictionary here and protecting words. I've chosen these three because I believe with my 42 years project management experience, passion is a must, but not enough. You need to be fully committed, and each of us should all define how fully committed means. I'm not here to tell you what fully committed is, but there is no borderline for the word commitment here. And if the team goes up with the commitment, with a beautiful, deep, sweet passion, we're almost there to make anything there. And then I can't. The word action here is project. I've seen projects, great projects, that the project team would address an issue, but they address it with philosophizing and talking big and complicating even the discussion. Where to me, project management, it's just action. I mean, you don't need to give speeches to solve a problem. If there's an issue and you are passionate about what you do, very committed, it's just action. Action is what gets things done and nothing else. You can be passionate, you can be committed, but if there's no action, I mean, you may see it, but 10 years later. And project management is all about schedule, cost, and quality, as we know. And if you follow these three things, I would say you will be graduated with a certificate of excellence. That's the word I would think of when I think of what is project management and what it takes. So that's my short story at a high level. I can tell you, I've been in project management more than 40 years. There was no day, not a single day, from me being a young engineer out of school to today, managing the largest, most complex historical project humanity have ever seen. What an honor to be leading a project like this. I'm still the same young engineer 40 years ago. I see myself as a project engineer who, when they come and present to me things about something, I go back to the basics. And I speak with my leaders and leadership team with that mindset. So let's not complicate project management. Project management is a beautiful journey. You can do it many times in your life. Every project is a journey, and journeys are not all the same. And some have tough days, some have disappointing days, but the overall outcome has to be success. If you follow my own little secret with these three words. Thank you. I'm here to enjoy questions. I hope I've explained what NEOM is all about, and then what I believe what it takes to be successful project manager. Thank you.
That was a fantastic keynote, and thank you so much for your personal insights at the end of the keynote, Mr. Nadhmi. We have a number of questions about the management of mega and giga projects coming through. And the first one, perhaps considering the scale and the complexity of NEOM and many regions that you have, what's your strategy to build a client organization? So how are you planning that client over time when you are scaling operations? What are the functions that you are potentially maintaining in-house versus bringing delivery partners in?
I can barely hear you. It's not clear here. I think I heard you, but some of words didn't come up. Do you all hear? So
Was about the client organization, how
the client. What do we mean by client?
your organization.
My organization. How do we build? That's a very good question, because especially projects like this, which is not a 4-year project and then you finish. It's a continuous thing. The way we have started this project, we built the overall view of the future. Where are we going to be in 10, 20 years? And how are we going to build it? What is the structure of 20 years from today? So we started midway and we said, we are today beginning, 3 years ago, small group, and we had the boxes that shows the main function. Knowing these functions are going to blend and expand over time. However, we also left in our mind that this is not a project, specifically NEOM, that is to be built around growth of people. It has to stay as small as possible as a client project. And we wanted to make sure we rely a lot on technology. I mean, we don't need to do it the traditional way. So the reporting, the progress, the scheduling, the cost, the construction itself, equipment, we rely on it more than the normal equipment. So we are injecting in the execution technology big time. As a matter of fact, we created in NEOM in the beginning one sector, and we called it design and construction. And that sector is answering to the question, how do we manage these projects over years? How can we predict the future of how projects are managed and executed? So we're trying to keep small team and not expanding team with the size of the project, because we thought this will just weakening the bonds for each team. So we tried to make it as small team as possible, and we are trying on building on linked team together that can be together for 10 years and no less, because we're trying to avoid changing teams with, of course, we lose people because people decide to leave. So we have to hire new people. So that is our philosophy, is to stay small and also keep the teams starting with the base and continue with it. Because the original team are the original team that joined the NEOM with all these requirements for, and we wanted to keep that culture.
Fantastic. We have another question about the board of NEOM, and you mentioned about the connections between the chair of the board and your program team to manage NEOM as a portfolio of several mega projects. So we have several questions about how big is the team allocated to each one of the regions or the mega projects, and how do you make decisions as a board overseeing this portfolio of projects?
Yeah, very, very good question. In the beginning of NEOM, in let's say 2019, when it started, of course, there was a board. There is still the board of NEOM, and that board looks over the whole vision of NEOM. That vision statement is what drive NEOM to be. Now, you take, for example, a region, Oxagon or Trojena. After they have done their work, they did their strategy and all of that, and this is all approved, we then move to create a subsidiary of NEOM, but it will be a company that's going to manage, let's say, Trojena for another 20, 30 years. So today, Trojena will have a board, and that board will have a chairman. But that subsidiary is owned by NEOM. So the CEO or the chairman of the board of Trojena is linked to the bigger board. There are reporting, of course, but this board of Trojena is fully accountable to manage NEOM the future. It has its own board. These companies are owned by NEOM. So these are companies that let's say report to me as the CEO of the group. And that group is expanding as we turn these companies. They build their resources. So Trojena, for example, they are under construction now, but at the same time, they are building their structure for the Trojena that's going to be opened in 4 years. They will run a resort. They will run 15 hotels. They will run that huge lake. They will be selling homes, villas, everything. That company is going to take what used to be a project one day to a small village that is fully owned by NEOM, but it's going to be put to the market because we will be selling hotels, we'll be selling the villas. We want the revenue to start coming back to the mother company. That's how you make business, because all of these projects are approved based on rate of return. They're not done just for the sake of making them beautiful. It has to have its own return, and that return goes to the mother company. So that's the linkage between this new company of a region to the mother company of NEOM. And the board of NEOM board is the overall board that looks over the project of NEOM that will continue for 30, 40 years. Is it clear?
Perfect. Okay. We have several questions, of course, about the line. And one of the questions is specifically asking about the construction of the line. So how are you planning to develop that? Is it in batches? So how long is the modular component of the line and technologies associated with that?
Yeah. The line today, with the design we have, as I mentioned, it's 170 kilometers long. It's not a small line, and it is already under construction from all aspects of construction, and the scheduled completion of the line is 2050, 2055. So it's not tomorrow, not next week. It will be many, many years to come. Now, it's going to be built on batches. And that batch each we call, for the lack of words, module. So the module is 400 meters long, and it will be 500 meters high. And it is designed for 80 to 85,000 people living in that module. So if you add up, so we are starting with the 3 modules. And 3 modules will be like 250 to 80,000 people. Hopefully we can put that on and open in the next 5 years. This what you saw was the construction. But as we described the line, it has no roads, no cars. The mobility is all underground, under the spine, and walking. Because within 5 minutes you can reach anything in your module. It's walking distance of 5 minutes get you to almost, not all, what you need. Grocery stores, clinic, hospitals, classrooms, schools. So it is all together. So we're building it in modules, we call it, and we will start with modules after modules, maybe 3, 4 at a time. Of course, what is going to drive the addition of modules is the business, the sales of what we build in the first phase. And as any business, as you get the return, you move on to the second modules, the second batch. So this is how the line will be built. It's a very challenging execution project, but we are in it in all other details. So.
Excellent. We have a few questions about procurement and procurement strategy. So I wonder if you could share some thoughts on how are you as a client procuring the line or engaging the supply chain to deliver several packages? You mentioned schools, you mentioned modules. Is there a fixed strategy to address the market, or that's an evolving conversation?
Well, I would say evolving, because each module will contain almost different assets. I mean, you're not going to have schools in every module, because you can walk from this module to, when you glue the modules together, it is just one module. But the philosophy of procurement in the line, first of all, it will have to be flexible, because maybe the first batch, which we are doing and we are moving on, we are in the market, may prove to us in the next modules that maybe that first procurement thought was good, but we learned that we need to change it to something else. So that mentality of evolving the ideas is to be in our mind. If you stick to one way, thinking that that's the solution, that's a problem too. We realize things like the line, it's not something that is built every month or every year, every country. That has never been built before. So we will learn from the first batch what things we continue doing the same and what things we have to change. So I think I'm saying this not to make it sound like it's an easy answer, but it has to be the mentality we go in with. Otherwise, we will be rigid with our brains as there's only one solution. We picked what we believe the best approach, the best solution for the first 3, 4 modules based on the assets and everything. But we are open to do the second batch different. And we are sure it will be different, but not extremely different. There are boundaries that decided the width of the line, the height of the line. These are not things we keep changing. But how do we build these major assets in each module? Things will change, and we have changed many of these as we are planning. So if I show you what we are building now in the first module, is not what we thought of 9 months ago. And, we said there are reasons why we can change and evolve. That flexibility is a must for a project like the line. Starting with a rigid approach is a complete dangerous. So, what that means, you need also special type of leaders. not just a project manager. If that project manager is not flexible in his thinking and he cannot shift as needed, it will be tough on that person and on the project. So we've been very careful in how we select people who are assigned to build something they have not done before. We have not done before. And these things come once in a lifetime when you do something that you say, I've never done that before. I'm the project manager of something I've never built. So what do I do? You have to make sure your mind can comprehend the variety of things that we do in life, and we have to get adjusted to it. I know I'm making my answer sound like easy and just switch your mind, and no, it's not that easy, but it gets easier when you realize the reality. But by the way, project management to me is fun. Part of the fun is trying, and part of the fun is making mistakes. And part of the biggest fun is learning from mistakes. And the next one you do better. But mistakes are not the end of the life.
Excellent. We have a few questions about lessons learned and a platform to take advantage of the scale and the portfolio of projects happening across Saudi Arabia. So I wonder if there is a centralized platform or structure that you are sharing Megaproject management knowledge across the entire Saudi Arabia and your plans to build on the modules of the line and learn from one to another.
Yeah, I cannot speak much about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia projects because I'm not involved in these projects. I know of the projects, but that's a country massive execution of the transformation of the kingdom, which me as a citizen of Saudi Arabia, I'm very proud of. Things are changing, maybe sometimes fast, but in the right direction. We love it. And accordingly, there are many mega projects and giga projects happening every day. And they are being executed. And they are being executed in a firm, wise strategy, following the basics of projects: schedule, cost, return, and they are very well managed by right governance that is set by the government. And it's not done at all as if it is run by a government. Our government in Saudi Arabia today, it's almost running like business, like a company. Like the thinking that has changed big time. Every initiative, every project that is being built by the kingdom, by the government, is done by the governance of a company. There is board, there is chairman, there are discussions, there are debates, there are changes if needed. So it's not the bureaucracy of government at all. That I know. That era is behind us. So that's all I can say about how the kingdom projects are run. Now, as far as NEOM, we plan, we are not there yet. We plan to have what do you call it? What did you call it? Platform for the project of NEOM. Platform where people can reach and learn from what is happening on site. Today, we only have cameras in every angle of the sites. I basically look at it. As I was coming here in the car, I was looking at my computer lab, and I was going from an island to an island, looking at the construction as it's happening. And that's what I do. It's with me everywhere. But that's a very simple tool, but it gives me an opportunity to see what's going on. but we are going to establish a platform. We want to share actually the lessons learned and the execution strategies in a few years to come about NEOM, because the size and the complexity of NEOM goes beyond anything the world has seen. And it is our duty to share that experience with the world.
Fantastic. We have several questions on leadership and leadership styles. So given the complexity of NEOM from mega to giga potentially, do you see any differences in styles of the program managers and the next CEOs delivering increasingly complex projects from the size of NEOM? Or another question, how do you recruit the next generation of leaders in giga projects?
Well, no doubt we recruit people who we believe have very strong knowledge of project management, the basis of project management. I mean, you don't want to bring someone who has not done that before once or twice. And what we have is are those that have been involved in project management worldwide before. Knowing NEOM is different as a project. So we realize that, and we don't hold anybody victim of this, including myself. I've never built a project like this, never. But I was hired to do this. So what we expect from people we hire is that knowledge, but the ability, the full capability of learning about this Giga project in no time. You cannot spend years to comprehend NEOM. There's no time. There's not enough time to waste just learning. So the fast learning, and that's easy said, of course, but we expect it from people we hire. As they join, basically, they would feel within months that they are under the pressure and under the expectation that not only they are expected to deliver, but to deliver, they have to understand every bits and pieces of what he's delivering or she's delivering. So the ability or capability of learning and the fast, quick learning, which mean NEOM itself, NEOM project is a school that you learn from every day, and you have to do that fast. And those that are not fast enough, they don't survive, because it's just too much on the brain of human being. It's we showed you pieces of the site, and you go there and see these equipment, they overwhelm you in no time. You feel like, what is going on here? It's like a jungle. And the number two requirement or expectation, if not number one, but as a leader, is decision making. I would say maybe it's number one for leaders in NEOM. Decision making is a must to conceptually live it, because as a leader, people will look you up, and then in that meeting, in that conference room, they don't want to leave that room with decisions not made. That's the worst that can happen on a project like NEOM. The activity on site, everything we showed you on the slide, it's driven by these decisions made in conference rooms and sometimes in the field. Because decision making is all about addressing an issue. There are 3-4 different options to solve it, and you hear them and you say, this way. You don't say, well, let's talk about it after the holiday. No one is allowed to do that. We don't accept that. We are not an organization or a project where you can have the luxury of saying, oh, we have to make that decision, but let's take a week to think about it. There is no week there to think about things. So the decision making, and I believe decision making, part of it, or the big part of it, is it's an art. Because basically you are sitting in a conference room with your team, and you will hear different opinions, different options. You are the leader. You have to run this here in the conference room, analyze it. Maybe it comes here this way then, and then you tell them we're going this way, and then they move. A team that's working under such a leader, they will move out from that room to go and execute. Especially if the discussion within that conference room is both ways. The people around the table also have their own views, and that they can discuss before the leader makes a decision. That's a must. These are the two things I would say. If we get them in a leader, you are on the right track.
Excellent. Recognizing the time, and we are slightly over our 1 hour, perhaps one last question. Several attendees are asking your key messages for the future. So how could you imagine a scenario where NEOM is built in full, and what lessons do you wish you can teach the world in terms of delivering infrastructure at scale?
Well, I would maybe answer it in different dimensions. First, I think I mentioned it in my opening remarks, or maybe not. NEOM is not just a Saudi project. It's happening in Saudi. The idea, the dream, I mean, is a dream that came up within the leaders of Saudi Arabia, specifically our young crown prince, who is driving the transformation in the kingdom. But it is meant to be what we believe the world needs for the future. When we named it NEOM, and as you know, maybe you know what NEOM stands for. NEO is the new. It's a Greek word. M is an Arabic letter, and it is the first letter of the word mustaqbal in Arabic, which means future. So the name of this project is the new future for the world, not for Saudi Arabia. We are doing it in Saudi Arabia. We believe with time, when it's all done or have done, and people lived or living the benefit of this vision, I think the world will start building confidence in what that means. And hopefully the rest of the world, the rest of countries will realize the benefits. As I mentioned also earlier, the executor of NEOM vision is 106 countries. We have people that come from these countries, and they are increasing every month or two. There's 6 planes, a mix of different backgrounds that they are passionate about. They are committed, and they are into action. So it's not a bunch of Saudis doing this. Saudi Arabia and Saudis are part of this. So it's for the benefit of the world. And we together, this team, the dream team, believe this. They feel it, and they recognize that. And that's together. And they want, hopefully in 10 years batch of the last and we finish all the regions, and we show them skiing in the mountains, but it's often enough as these sectors I mentioned, which create the economy, and more importantly, the knowledge and the technology and the future of the world. Every sector, we are basically deep diving into what should the future be of desalination of water. Water is becoming a threat to the world. We cannot continue with relying on the water is full of water and enough for the next 1,000 years. Desalination is one of the solutions. We cannot continue with desalination for another 1,000 years. Not environmentally the right thing. So if you just look at this one sector, team on the water sector are studying that day and night. Studying what? Studying the future, not the current. The current is known and everybody's doing it. We have to predict future. So when we say NEOM, it's the new future. Everybody there thinks of self or herself. We are on a mission to predict the future and use what we believe is the best for the future. But that is an evolving exercise. I mean, future is the future as you where you stand. So that is what we tell the world. It is a world, a full world team that they see themselves on a mission to think of the future. Not the future of Saudi Arabia only, the future of the whole planet Earth, whether it is economy or environment or water or food or anything. And I believe in years to come, there will be the story of NEOM. Because today you cannot just tell the story. The story is being written as we build NEOM and show the world what NEOM is going to be, not only looking like, but what lessons we are going to learn that the whole planet Earth would convert to. And maybe we'll come back here 100 years from today. If you invite me 100 years from today, I'll come here and speak about the experiments and the outcome of the vision that I shared with you in the beginning. And we call it vision/dream, that we are on a mission to make it happen.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for a wonderful keynote. On behalf of UCL and the IPMA, and I think I'm speaking for almost 500 people who registered to hear your insights. We appreciate very much your time and all the things that you shared with us here in London. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. The opportunities we would like to speak to the world, to the believers and non-believers and all of that. We all build on hope. We all live on having a dream and hope to improve livability, improve our life and our future for our grandkids, because all of us have that dream. And we are a piece of converting that dream to truth. So thank you for giving us the opportunity. Please do it. And those that make it into Saudi Arabia for any reason, connect with us. We will fly you to NEOM. And you can fly from Heathrow to NEOM. There is a flight straight Heathrow, NEOM. It's 4.5 hour flight or 4 hour flight. You can come, you will be our guest. And I mean it. We really want to have you individually or groups connecting with my office that you want to come and visit. We'll do our best to be the best hosts. Thank you.